Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're looking into natural disasters that shocked the world.
Oh, yeah, some really intense
And
events.
you guys sent in some amazing sources,
Really fascinating stuff.
historical accounts, scientific analysis, and we're on a mission to discover what made these events so momentous and what we can learn from them.
I think it's so interesting how these events reveal that balance between us and nature,
Yeah.
between human civilization and the raw forces of this planet.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at events that reshaped the landscapes around them, impacted cultures, and even left a mark on the global climate.
They really did.
So, are you ready to be blown away?
Absolutely.
Let's start with the Lisbon earthquake,
Oh, yeah,
1755.
a good one.
It happened on All Saints' Day,
Oh,
a
wow.
major religious holiday.
Right.
So imagine a
Uh-huh.
bustling city,
Uh-huh.
the heart of the Portuguese Empire,
Hmm.
suddenly hit by an 8.5 magnitude earthquake.
It's hard to overstate the impact of that earthquake.
Yep.
And, it happening on All Saints' Day just adds another layer.
Right.
Many people saw it as divine punishment,
Yeah.
which really shook the very foundations of their faith.
Wow.
But it also forced people to confront the physical reality of earthquake-prone regions.
The sources describe churches that were packed with worshipers just collapsing in an instant.
It's hard to imagine that scale of destruction.
It really is.
And, the earthquake itself was just the beginning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a few minutes later, a tsunami.
Oh, no.
Waves estimated at 6 meters high
Wow.
slammed into that coastline that was already devastated,
Oh, my God.
amplifying the destruction even further.
It's like a nightmare.
What else could happen?
Fires,
Oh, no.
fueled by all the wreckage,
Oh, God.
raged for days.
Unbelievable.
It's estimated that 30,000 to 40,000 people died in Lisbon that day.
It's just incredible and so tragic how all these events just cascaded one on top of the other.
It really is.
The sources mention that tremors from this earthquake were felt as far away as Finland. Wow.
And even in the Caribbean.
That's amazing.
That really highlights how interconnected our planet is.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and this event, it wasn't just a local tragedy.
Right.
It really had a profound impact on European thought
Really?
and philosophy.
Interesting.
Thinkers began questioning those traditional beliefs
Yeah.
about God and the nature of the world.
Right.
And it also spurred some of those early investigations into seismology and the study of earthquakes.
So from the depths of the earth, we move to the fiery power of volcanoes.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically,
Yeah.
the eruption of Krakatoa.
Krakatoa in 1883.
This one was a big one.
This wasn't just your average volcanic eruption.
No, not at all.
I don't-
Krakatoa was a monster.
Wow.
The force of that eruption was so immense
Yeah.
that the cone itself
What?
collapsed into the sea.
Oh, my gosh.
And the resulting tsunamis were
Yeah.
just devastating,
Oh, wow.
causing destruction across the Indonesian islands and beyond.
And the sound.
I read that the eruption of Krakatoa produced the loudest sound in recorded history,
Oh, wow.
heard over 4,500 kilometers away.
That's incredible.
Can you even comprehend a sound that powerful?
I mean, it's really remarkable.
It boggles the mind.
And the global impact didn't stop there.
Really?
That ash cloud from the eruption
Yep.
was so massive, it circled the globe,
Yeah.
and it affected weather patterns for years.
Oh, wow.
There are records of unusually vibrant sunsets across Europe
Right.
and North America attributed to Krakatoa's ash.
That's amazing.
And it even caused a slight dip
Well,
in global temperatures.
so one volcanic eruption in Indonesia was impacting the weather on the other side of the planet.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's a powerful example of nature's interconnectedness.
Yeah, it really is.
But of course, the human cost was immense.
Of course.
Those tsunamis,
Yeah.
some with waves reaching over 40 meters high,
Oh, my God.
killed an estimated 36,000 people.
Wow. Yeah, it's a tragic reminder of the potential for volcanoes to not only reshape those landscapes, but also to disrupt global systems and impact human life far beyond their immediate vicinity.
Speaking of events with global impact, let's shift gears now to a different kind of earth-shaking event.
Okay.
The Shaanxi earthquake in China, 1556.
Right?
This one stands out as the deadliest earthquake in recorded history.
It's a scary thought.
What made this earthquake so devastating?
Well, it's estimated to have been around 8 to 8.3 on the Richter scale.
Wow.
To give you some context, that means the ground shaking was likely 10 times stronger
Wow.
than the Lisbon earthquake.
that we just talked about.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It's a massive,
Yeah.
absolutely massive release of energy.
And the death toll is just staggering, an estimated 830,000 people.
It's hard to fathom.
It's hard to even fathom the scale of that loss.
Yeah.
The sources mentioned widespread landslides,
Right.
especially in areas where people lived in hillside caves.
Yeah, they're called yodongs.
Yaodongs.
The landscape itself played a role in the devastation.
Yeah.
The Lotus Plateau region where the earthquake struck is prone to landslides.
Right.
And these landslides triggered by the earthquake buried entire communities.
Oh my gosh.
It's a tragic example of how the very geography of a region can compound the destructive power of a natural disaster.
It's incredible to think how these natural disasters can literally reshape landscapes,
Yeah.
sometimes in an instant.
In the blink of an eye.
But the Shaanxi earthquake also highlights the importance of understanding local geological conditions.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it? Understanding the unique vulnerabilities of different regions is crucial
Yeah.
for developing effective disaster mitigation and preparedness strategies.
That's for sure. From earthquakes that reshape continents, let's turn our attention now to a force of nature that's both terrifying and mesmerizing.
Oh, yeah.
Tornadoes.
Absolutely.
And not just any tornado,
Right.
but the tri-state tornado of 1925, which holds a pretty grim record here in the United States. Oh, yeah. It's a fascinating and frightening event, for sure. The tri-state tornado was classified as an EF5.
Wow.
The highest level on the enhanced Fujita scale,
Right.
which means wind speeds were estimated at over 300 miles per hour.
It's hard to imagine anything surviving those kinds of winds.
Really hard to imagine.
The path of this tornado was just unbelievable.
I know.
It carved its way through Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana,
Yeah.
staying on the ground for an incredible 3.5 hours.
Wow.
That's longer than some feature films.
I was just thinking that longer than some movies I've seen.
Oh, no, it's amazing.
And the length of its track was astounding as well.
Yeah.
Over 219 miles,
Wow.
leaving just a scar of destruction across 3 states.
Wow.
Obliterated entire towns.
It's unbelievable.
And the damage wasn't just limited to the immediate path.
Oh, really?
There were reports of debris being found hundreds of miles away.
The images from that time are just devastating.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Homes reduced to splinters, trees, uprooted cars, tossed around like toys.
It's hard to even picture that.
The death toll was horrific. Nearly 700 people lost their lives.
It's a sobering reminder of the destructive power of tornadoes,
Yeah.
especially in the Midwest,
Right.
which is often called, Tornado Alley.
Yeah.
The tri-state tornado is a case study in how quickly and ferociously these storms can strike.
It makes you appreciate the importance of tornado preparedness and early warning systems,
Absolutely.
doesn't it?
We've made great strides in tornado forecasting and warning systems since 1925.
Yeah.
But it's just a reminder
Yeah.
of the raw power of these storms and the importance of being prepared.
From the sudden fury of a tornado, let's shift our focus to a disaster that unfolded over weeks and months.
Okay.
The China floods of 1931. This was a different kind of devastation,
Right.
a slow-motion catastrophe
Yeah.
that ultimately claimed millions of lives.
The scale of this disaster is almost unimaginable.
It really is.
The Yangtze River Basin, one of the most densely populated regions of China, experienced catastrophic flooding.
Oh, wow.
It was a confluence of factors.
Yeah.
Starting with an unusually harsh winter frost,
Interesting.
which weakened the ground,
Right?
followed by a relentless monsoon season.
I read that instead of the typical 2 major storms during the monsoon season, there were 7 in 1931.
Wow.
It's like nature was conspiring to create the perfect storm.
Yeah, so to speak.
So to speak, what were the immediate consequences of these relentless rains?
Well, the Yangtze River and its tributaries swelled,
Oh.
overflowing their banks and inundating vast stretches of farmland and urban areas.
Oh, my gosh.
And flood defenses inadequate to begin with were
Right.
quickly overwhelmed.
I see.
At its peak, the water level was 16 meters above normal.
Wow.
That's taller than a 4-story building.
I can't even begin to fathom the scale of that flooding.
It's crazy.
It must have been absolutely terrifying for the people living in those areas. Millions were displaced, their homes and livelihoods just swept away by these relentless waters. But as I understand it, the flooding was just the beginning of their ordeal.
Tragically, yes, the aftermath of the floods brought about widespread famine and disease.
Oh, wow.
Crops were destroyed,
Huh.
leading to widespread starvation.
Right?
And the stagnant floodwaters became breeding grounds for diseases like typhoid and cholera.
Oh, no.
It's estimated that between 2 and 4 million people died as a result of the floods and their aftermath.
It's heartbreaking to think about the suffering these people endured. It
Yeah.
really highlights the cascading effects of natural disasters,
Yeah.
how one event can trigger a chain reaction of consequences.
Right.
The China floods are a stark reminder of the importance of not just responding to the immediate crisis,
Mhm.
but also addressing the long-term needs of affected communities.
Precisely, disaster preparedness and response must encompass both the immediate and long-term challenges.
That's right.
And it's important to recognize the interconnectedness of these challenges.
That's it.
For example, investing in flood control infrastructure not only reduces the immediate impact of flooding,
Right.
but also contributes to long-term food security and public health by protecting farmland and preventing the spread of waterborne diseases.
So it's a holistic approach,
Yeah,
recognizing that natural disasters have ripple effects that extend far beyond the initial event.
exactly.
And that brings us to an important question. What can we learn from these devastating events?
That's the question, isn't it?
What insights can we glean from these historical disasters
Yeah.
that can help us navigate the future?
That's the crucial question. We've seen the immense power of nature,
Yeah.
the destruction it can unleash, but we've also glimpsed the resilience of the human spirit,
Right.
the capacity to rebuild and adapt in the face of adversity.
Yeah, it seems like these disasters, while they're separated by time and geography, they share a common thread.
What's that?
They all reveal this just raw power of nature and just how vulnerable human civilization is in the face of these forces.
It's interesting how these events, tragic as they were, they've often spurred advancements in our understanding of the natural world,
Yeah.
like the Lisbon earthquake.
Uh-huh.
It led to some of those earliest scientific studies of earthquakes,
Right.
which laid the groundwork for the field of seismology.
So from the rubble of these disasters,
Yeah.
we've gained this valuable knowledge that can help us mitigate future risks.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder,
It really does.
have we learned enough?
Yeah.
Are we doing enough to prepare for these inevitable natural disasters that will occur in the future?
That's a question I think we all need to grapple with.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important lessons these disasters teach us is the importance of preparedness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Investing in resilient infrastructure,
Uh-huh.
early warning systems,
Right.
and effective disaster response plans can significantly reduce the impact of these events.
We've seen the consequences of inadequate flood defenses in the China floods
Right.
and the devastation caused by buildings that just weren't designed to withstand earthquakes in Lisbon and Shaanxi.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a clear message. Building for resilience is an investment worth making.
I completely agree, but it's not just about physical infrastructure.
Right.
It's also about building a culture of preparedness,
Yep.
educating communities about the risks they face,
Yeah.
developing those emergency plans, and fostering that spirit of cooperation and mutual aid can be just as important as concrete and steel when disaster strikes.
You saw glimpses of that community resilience in the aftermath of these disasters.
Yeah.
Neighbors helping neighbors, sharing what little they had,
Right.
working together to rebuild. It's a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can shine through.
And that spirit of resilience is something we can all cultivate by learning from the past, understanding the risks we face,
Yeah.
and taking those proactive steps to prepare. We can create a safer and more resilient future. A future where we not only survive these events, but emerge stronger and more connected than before.
As we wrap up this deep dive into some truly awe-inspiring and sobering events,
Yeah,
I'm left with a sense of both caution and hope.
I think that's right.
Caution, because the forces of nature are powerful and unpredictable,
Mm-hmm.
but hope, because we have the capacity to learn, adapt,
Yeah,
and build a more resilient world.
I think that's a great place to leave it. We can't control nature,
Right.
but we can control how we prepare and respond.
That's for sure.
And by doing so, we can honor the memory of those who have been lost in these tragedies and build a future where the impact of natural disasters is lessened and the human spirit prevails.
To our listeners, we hope this deep dive has provided you with some valuable insights and food for thought. Take some time to reflect on what you've learned, research the risks in your own area, develop an emergency plan for your family, and perhaps even explore ways to get involved in disaster preparedness or relief efforts in your community. We may not be able to prevent natural disasters, but we can certainly take steps to minimize their impact and build a more resilient world together.